Work hard to promote high-quality development. The new message, President Xi Jinping to the people of China. He was speaking at the opening of the Communist Party Congress. It's a week-long event convened every 5 years. It's expected this time to endorse President Xi for a third term. In a wide-ranging speech lasting over 2 hours, he spoke of peaceful reunification with Taiwan, an administration of Hong Kong, and the maintenance of China's zero-COVID policy. The BBC's Stephen McDonald is in Beijing and has been watching events at the Congress.
Listening to this speech, the most important thing for most Chinese people was to hear whether or not there might be an easing of the country's COVID restrictions after the Party Congress. Well, the short answer is no. The mass testing, the lockdowns, the scanning, the quarantine, they're all to stay. Xi Jinping said there'd be no wavering on zero COVID because of the need to save people's lives. However, there was no acknowledgement in the speech of the pain that zero COVID is causing economically and socially. In fact, on several fronts, there was nothing from China's leader. For example, nothing about youth unemployment, nothing about the housing crisis. In fact, it was a 2-hour speech, very long on standard rhetoric and very short on actual practical solutions to the serious problems that this country is facing. When it comes to Hong Kong, he defended the crackdown there, saying that order has been restored. With Taiwan, he said that his administration would genuinely seek peaceful reunification with Taiwan. However, that it was not going to rule out the use of force if necessary. So in short, this is really a speech for the party faithful, and in terms of ordinary Chinese people, not a lot there to enlighten them.
Stephen McDonald there. Earlier, our Asia Pacific editor Celia Hatton gave us her analysis of President Xi Jinping's speech.
The Chinese leader really emphasized stability above all else. I mean, that really was the focus. He is the man in control. He's been at the helm for 10 years. He's going to stay in power. No major policy initiatives announced today, but maybe that's kind of the point. He just wants people to kind of rest assured that he's in charge and the country will continue on. So, some were hoping that he would, for example, lift China's zero COVID strategy. There were a lot of hopes that maybe they would just keep that in place until this all-important Party Congress, and this would be the moment that Xi Jinping would make many people happy. But that didn't happen. It's a lot more of the same. He did allude to some big policy shifts coming down the pike, perhaps more to do with climate, China's climate goals. He alluded to this idea that he wanted to increase the birth rate, and they would be coming out with more strategies to do that. But really, when it comes to the important things, the economy, security, Taiwan, Hong Kong, all those things, well, they're really just staying the course.
So no change, for example, on the desire for peaceful reunification with Taiwan. No change over the crackdown in Hong Kong.
Well, the peaceful reunification is interesting. He did say something that he's been saying for a while now, which is we will maintain the right to use force if necessary. And so, Xi Jinping has long had what China calls reunification. Now, people in Taiwan would argue that Taiwan's never belonged to China, so they'd argue with the use of that time.
Mao even said it's not Chinese, it's different.
So, Xi Jinping has wanted this for quite some time, quite strongly. Yes, of course, he says, he will do it, wants to do it peacefully. Of course, everybody wants to do it, everyone in China wants that, but, he's also reserved the right to use force. He also, crucially, called for military modernization to continue. Right. And this is the man who famously said he wanted a military that could fight and win wars.
And on Hong Kong, where there clearly is unease among not least the international financial community that has operated quite happily there for so long and has been relatively tolerant of China's changes. But there seems to be some concern about, for example, attracting new staff and all the rest of it. Did he address any of that?
No, I mean, he basically was saying, he put sort of Hong Kong in the column of successes that he's kind of overseen. He said that order has been restored. Hong Kong is now being ruled by patriots. Well, it depends on how you define patriot, but, it is true that the opposition in Hong Kong, most people who were openly pushing for more of a democratic system, they're either in prison or in exile, or they're just living there very silently.